Alrighty, going to have a look at simplifying a few indices now. Now, the indices that I've chosen for most of this video are quite tough ones. Alright, they're sort of those harder level questions that we need to be looking at. So, with any of these, with difficult ones like this, the first thing I like to do is split it up into the relevant numbers and letters. So, for this one, I'm going to split it up into 15 over 12 by C3 over C to the negative 2 by D over D to the negative 3. Now then I just go through and sort of do each one as it comes. So I know that 15 and 12, so 3 go into both of those, so that is going to become 5 on 4. Now c to the power of 3, and this is divided by c to the power of negative 2. What that actually becomes is c to the 3 subtract negative 2. Alright, because remember our rule, if we have a to the m divided by a to the n, it equals a m take n. We're actually just subtracting those powers, which is what I'm doing here. Don't get confused with the negative. Alright, we need to do it just like that. So then what I do from here, I then times, and remember this d is like to the power of 1, so that is the same, it becomes d to the 1 subtract negative 3, and end up getting 5 on 4 times by c to the negative 3 take negative 2 becomes like 3 plus 2, so c to the 5 times by d to the 1 subtract negative 3, which becomes 1 plus 3, which becomes 4, with your final answer being 5 on 4 c5 d4. Now remember, you can write this another way. Any of these fractions, you could write this as 5c5 d4 on 4, or you could also write, if you prefer, 5 divided by 4 is 1.25 c5 d4. Alright, any of these answers would be acceptable. Personally, I'd probably like this one, but that's just me. It is completely up to you. The next one we're going to have a bit of a look at is a multiplying question. So the first one we did was divided by. This one we're going to look at is multiplying. So what I have here is 6a to the 4b cubed times 3a to the negative 6b. This is a b, not a 6. So with this question, the way that I like to do it is I look at each bit individually. So again, like we did with our previous question, we kind of split it up into our letters and numbers. So I look at just our numbers. Now 6 times 3, I know that that is, hopefully we know that that is 18. Alright, remember any of these sort of questions, you're not too great at your times tables, grab a calculator. Next one we're going to look at is a to the 4 times a to the negative 6. Now remember our indices rule that says if I have a to the m times by a to the n, what I actually do with those is I plus my powers. Alright, so that's what I need to do here. I need to go this 4 and this negative 6. That's actually become a to the power of 4 plus negative 6. Then I have b to the 3, and remember this here, that's like b to the power of 1. So that then becomes b to the 3 plus 1. I then do my first line of working out, which becomes 18. 4 plus negative 6 is negative 2. Remember these are all times, I'm just going to chuck those in. 18 times a to the negative 2 times by 3 plus 1, which is b to the 4. Now, any of these answers you should be giving, we should not have a negative number here. We should never have a negative indice in our final answer. Now, if we remember one of our other indice laws, that says if I have a number to a negative power, that is the same as 1 divided by a to that power, and that's how we eliminate that negative. Now, with this, again, using our fractions, 18 is the same as 18 divided by 1. Now, originally we have a to the negative 2 on 1 by b to the 4 on 1. But remember, this, I need to get it looking like this, I need to do it the other way. So it becomes 18 on 1 by 1 on a squared by b4 on 1. And with my fractions, I just multiply my top line, 18 times 1 times b to the 4, which equals 18 b to the 4. 1 times a squared times 1, just move this down a little bit, on a squared. Now, if you didn't like this way, again, the other way we could do this is we could look at it as 18 by 1 on a squared by b4. Alright, if you wanted to jump straight to that step, if this way here confused a little bit, that's fine. Alright, but then we can't leave it like this. Okay, 18 is the same as 18 on 1. B to the 4 is the same as b to the 4 on 1. We end up multiplying our top row by my bottom row. Sorry, all the top numbers together to form my numerator. 18 b to the 4. 1 times a squared times 1 is again a squared. Now you can do this either way. Personally, I probably prefer this way. Alright, jumping straight to this, because this can tend to confuse people a little bit, doing it this way, then flipping it to this. Alright, but either way is perfect, and we see that this becomes our final answer. The next question that I've got is another simplifying indices question. This one here. Alright, and again, these questions that I'm doing, I'm purposely doing the harder ones. I'm purposely doing the tougher ones so that we can be having a go at these tougher questions and we can see how to do them. So, what we have here, m to the power of 4, n to the negative 2 divided by r cubed, and all of that is to the power of 2. Now, remember one of our index laws that says if I have a to the power of m, and all of that is to the power n, then that becomes a to the m times by n. You multiply those powers together, and that's what I need to do here. M to the power of 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8, so this becomes m to the 8. N to the negative 2 times 2 becomes n to the negative 4. R to the power of 3, 3 times 2, which becomes r to the 6, because remember our other index law that says if I have a on b to the power of n, that equals a to the n on b to the n. Alright, that power gets applied to both parts. Now that I've done that, I'm then going to divide that by, again, doing the same thing here, m to the negative 3 times 2 becomes m to the negative 6, n to the power of 2, 2 times 2 becomes n to the 4, r to the power of 3, this is a 3, if it's not, it doesn't come out that clearly, this is a 3, r to the power of 3, 3 times 2 becomes r to the 6. Now this is probably the bit where people get a little bit confused. Now this is where we have to think back to our fraction rules, alright, how we divide and multiply fractions. Now hopefully we remember that if we want to have a fraction, which is all this is, and divide it by another fraction, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying its reciprocal. Or hopefully you remember the rule that looks something like keep, change, flip. So we keep this part here, m to the 8, n to the negative 4 on r to the 6. Keep this one the same. Change our sign from a divide to a times, and flip this one here. So this goes up here, this comes down. Now, this step, again, may confuse some people, alright, but it's our standard dividing by fractions rule, alright, that these rules we learned in year 7, year 8, okay, they still apply now and further on in school. So also don't get confused by changing this. In this step, this m to the negative 6 stays as m to the negative 6. So then what I can do when I multiply my fractions, I just multiply my top to get my new numerator, then multiply my bottom to get my new denominator. Now I'm just going to continue this up here a bit so I have enough space. So m to the 8, n to the negative 4 times by r to the 6 becomes m to the 8, n to the negative 4, r to the 6. We just kind of combine it all. Then that goes over r to the 6 times by m to the negative 6 times by n to the 4. And now we just need to go through and simplify some things and cancel them out. So I'm going to use a different color to make it a bit clearer. I have an r to the 6 here, I have an r to the 6 here. They are both exactly the same, so I can just get rid of them and cancel them. I then look at my m to the 8 here and m to the negative 6. Now remember, that is going to become m to the 8 subtract negative 6, because these two are being divided, so that we subtract the powers, times by n, we have negative 4, subtract 4, like that. Alright, now that is going to like combine all that into sort of one line. Now 8 subtract negative 6 becomes m to the 14, n to the negative 4 take 4 becomes n to the negative 8. Now remember, we still need to, we can't leave our answer with a negative indice, we can't leave it with a negative power. Okay, so then what we need to do is, again, flip this. So then what that is going to become is m to the 14 on 1, so I haven't actually changed that, times by 1 on n to the 8. I'm flipping this. Alright, so then again my standard fraction rules, m to the 14 by 1 multiplied by m to the 14, 1 times n to the 8 on n to the power of 8, and that's my final answer. That's where we stop there. It's quite a long question, this one. Alright, probably this step here, okay, getting to this answer here, that's probably the toughest bit, this transition here. Alright, so just make sure you're remembering those fraction rules. You're remembering that if I'm dividing fractions, I take them away. Okay, all these rules here, they're good things to have written down when we're going through these sort of questions. Now, the last indice question I'm going to go through is again quite a tough one. So just scooch this up a little bit. So what I have here is 2m to the power of 3, just the m is to the power of 3, all to the power of 2, divided by 3, multiplied by mn to the 4, all to the power of 0. Then I'm multiplying that by 6n to the power of 5, all to the power of 2, divided by negative 2n to the power of 3, multiplied by m to the 4. Now, I think the biggest mistake people make with these sort of questions is they just look at the variable and the power, and they just multiply the 3 by 2. This 2 also needs to be squared. Okay, we need to do 2 squared and m to the 3, that power, times by 2. So our new, it's actually not 2 squared m to the 3 times 2 for our top line on 3 lots of, now mn to the power of 4 to the power of 0, okay, that actually becomes m to the 0, and then n to the 4 times 0, which we know is also 0. And remember our other index law that says a to the 0 equals 1. Anything to the power of 0 equals 1. So these are actually just going to cancel out to a 1, but I'll show that in the next step. Then we are timesing that by 6 n to the power of 5 squared. Now again, we need to square this 6, okay? Becomes 6 squared n to the 5 times 2 on. And same with this negative 2, this needs to be cubed, okay? So negative 2 cubed n to the 3 m to the 4. Alright, now let's simplify that to make it look a little bit nicer. So 2 squared is 4, 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, now again, m to the 0 and n to the 0, they're both 1, so this just becomes 3. Just like that. Times 6 squared is 36. And n to the 5 times 2, we know 5 times 2 is n to the 10. Over negative 2 cubed is negative 8. Okay, remember, any number squared will give a positive, but any number cubed will give a negative, because what that is like saying negative 2 cubed is like negative 2 by negative 2 by negative 2. Okay, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Positive 4 times negative 2 gives me negative 8. Alright, just remember that. And then n to the 3, m to the 4, n to the 3, m to the 4. Now, with this next bit, we can simplify this a little bit, okay, straight up. But I think what I'm going to do is just our standard fraction rules of multiply the top, okay, numerator times numerator gives new numerator, denominator times denominator gives new denominator. So what I need to do for this is 4m to the 6 times 36 n to the 10. Now 4 times 36 is 144. Again, use a calculator. I did. Okay, don't try to do that one in your head if you can't. M to the 6 times n to the 10. We just leave it as m to the 6 n to the 10. Then 3 by negative 8. Okay, 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And just our variables here just stay on the end, n cubed m to the 4. Now we're not quite done yet, we can still simplify some of this. So again, I'm just going to bring this over to here. Okay, don't get confused with that bit. And when we get to this point, again, split it up. Okay, keep your numbers similar, variables together. So 144 on negative 24 by m to the 6 on m to the 4 by n to the 10 on n to the 3. It doesn't matter about the order, okay, still going to end up with the same answer. 144 divided by negative 24 is negative 6. Okay, 6 take 4, so this is going to become m to the 6 take 4, and then times by n to the 10 on n to the 3, which becomes n to the 10 take 3. So our final answer is negative 6 m to the 2 n to the 7, and that is my final answer there.